Minha gente amiga do esporte, olha, vocês andam procurando por aí o melhor do esporte no Espírito Santo, no Brasil e no mundo? Não precisa mais ficar perdendo tempo. Olha aqui, neste endereço, facebook.com/esportees.net. Compartilhe, porque nós compartilhamos com você o que há de melhor no mundo do esporte em todo o mundo. Não se esqueça, não perca tempo, vá direto lá. O encontro está marcado. facebook.com/esportees.net. O melhor que existe no esporte pelo mundo afora, nós temos lá para você. Encontro está marcado, esperamos você.
Bate. Enganeta assim ou não?
andam procurando por aí o melhor do esporte no Espírito Santo, no Brasil e no mundo? Não precisa mais ficar perdendo tempo. Olha aqui, neste endereço, facebook.com/esportees.net. Compartilhe, porque nós compartilhamos com você o que há de melhor no mundo do esporte em todo o mundo. Não se esqueça, não perca tempo, vá direto lá. O encontro está marcado. facebook.com/esportees.net. O melhor que existe no esporte pelo mundo afora, nós temos lá para você. Encontro está marcado, esperamos você.
Rebote. Enganeta, senhor Ronaldo.
Minha gente amiga do esporte, olha, vocês andam procurando por aí o melhor do esporte no Espírito Santo, no Brasil e no mundo? Não precisa mais ficar perdendo tempo. Olha aqui, neste endereço, facebook.com/esportees.net. Compartilhe, porque nós compartilhamos com você o que há de melhor no mundo do esporte em todo o mundo. Não se esqueça, não perca tempo, vá direto lá. O encontro está marcado. facebook.com/esportees.net. O melhor que existe no esporte pelo mundo afora, nós temos lá para você. Encontro está marcado, esperamos você.
believe that I feel alright now. It's been a year since you've seen me, and I don't want to hear about your life now. There's not enough time in a day to do all the things I want to do to you. Memories trick me to believe in your after 10 minutes, and I wish you'd leave. I know the place we've been there.
Brian Little.
Everybody goes up. Everybody Everybody goes. Everybody. Everybody goes.
Minha gente amiga do esporte, olha, vocês andam procurando por aí o melhor do esporte no Espírito Santo, no Brasil e no mundo? Não precisa mais ficar perdendo tempo. Olha aqui, neste endereço, facebook.com/esportees.net. Compartilhe, porque nós compartilhamos com você o que há de melhor no mundo do esporte em todo o mundo. Não se esqueça, não perca tempo, vá direto lá. O encontro está marcado. facebook.com/esportees.net. O melhor que existe no esporte pelo mundo afora, nós temos lá para você. Encontro está marcado, esperamos você.
There's nothing better than rising with the sun, putting on your hat, and heading out to the barn. After all these years, I still look forward to the first ride of the day. Sometimes I think that I look at life through a horse's eyes. And that's just fine with me.
For the better part of 6 decades, this is how Ian Miller has started every morning. But now, there's a difference in how he goes about his daily routine. He no longer has to ready himself and his horse to compete for Canada.
It was just time. The time had come. And Kenny Rogers, the gambler, know when to hold him, know when to fold him, know when to walk away.
At the age of 72, Miller is walking away, retiring from international team competition, closing the book on that part of his life which made him a household name. But one thing he hasn't left behind: his love affair with the horse. It's a relationship which began so many years ago. Ian Miller has been fascinated with horses for as long as he can remember. But it wouldn't be until the age of 10, when his family moved to Alberta, that he finally got that first ride.
I see these 2 horses and this young cowboy and a sign saying horses for rent. And for 25 cents, you could ride one of them down to the end of this little road and come back at whatever speed you wanted. A couple of years ago, A guy comes up to me at Spruce Meadows, says, "Do you know who I am?" And I said, "No, I don't." And he said, "I'm the one that put you on a horse for the first time." And he says, "I tell everybody who will listen that I taught you everything you know."
As the years went by, Miller's love of riding grew. But making a living at it in the 1960s wasn't all that easy. So he became a stockbroker and later a real estate investor, all to support his hobby. Then in 1969, he married Lynn Doran, who was as passionate about horses as he was.
She was a muse to Ian. She was a great horse lady. She watched everything, both in the barn and outside the barn and in the ring. She was a big part of all that success in the early days.
She made it possible for him to focus on him. She took care of all of the other details, and that allowed him to be the best Ian Miller that he could possibly be.
Eventually, the young couple bought an old farmhouse and some land outside Perth, Ontario. That's where their equine business, Miller Brook Farm, was born. Initially, money was tight, but the couple agreed on what the priorities were.
We had very little money, so we patched it up and got it to the point that you could live in it. And every time I say to Lynn, "What do you think about the kitchen?" "Well, I'd love to have a new kitchen." So I'd tell her how much the new kitchen would cost, and she'd say, "You know what, I'd rather have a horse." So we'd get another horse instead. And it was the same kitchen for all those years.
There, they raised their children, Jonathan and Amy. It's also where Miller really began to hone his equestrian skills. And it was during that time his interest in international riding was piqued.
Here comes Jim Day on the Immigrant.
When Canada's Olympic team won gold at the Mexico City Games in 1968.
And it's up and over the final jump, and he's through, and there's no doubt that Canada has won itself a gold medal.
I was at a horse show in Ottawa, and all the announcers went on all day about it, and we followed it so closely, and I thought I would give anything to be able to be part of something like that.
Miller from Aylmer, Quebec, a 25-year-old.
And just 4 short years later, at the Munich Olympics, he got his chance. More than a decade later, Ian returned to Europe on a trip which would change the course of his career. His friend, Emile Hendricks, took him to see a 7-year-old Belgian-bred gelding, a horse dismissed by many as too big to win.
And he wasn't that expensive. Pretty rugged looking. I always said John Wayne good looks. And there was an edge to him. He was difficult. We walked into this barn where he was, and I looked at him, and he looked at me. And I mean, I swear there was a connection right there.
The horse Miller brought back to Canada, Big Ben, was no pushover. He certainly had a mind of his own, which meant training him